Today I'm going to talk about the V8 Falcon with some of the modifications that we can do to your new or more pointedly this sort of thing, your 2 to 6-year-old Falcons and what we can turn them into. On this car here we've actually done the full Yellow Terror Supercharged system, which is the 2.3 litre unit. At the moment it hasn't got all its covers on, so you can actually see where the supercharger is and how the whole thing works. If you look down on the base there, you've got your compressor, the 2.4 litre Whipple compressor. That's out the front of it, comes into the drive system, and on this one, and the way we do it here, we're on a separate remote crank drive with its own tensioner system, its own 8-rib belt. So it's just the nicest way to do that job. It leaves your standard engine belt alone to just look after the engine, and then the supercharger belt drives the supercharger. If you go back into where the supercharger is, you can see the way this system works. The supercharger sits right in that big open space in the middle of the engine, and then just above that's the intercooler, which is a sandwich plate that goes on top. The air comes out of that and goes over the top of the sides of the intercooler back down into the runners to go into the heads. The plenum, in this case, the big blue bit on top there, is just the air delivery. It uses obviously the standard twin throttle body on these units. On the earlier ones, the BFs and BAs, it has a single throttle body, but it uses the standard plenum simply to direct the air to the back of the supercharger. On this one, as I mentioned, it's also intercooled. So we run, it's a water-air intercooler. This is the reservoir system, which I mount up the front there and make it neat and tidy. If you come back out to the front of the car, you can actually see that with what I try and do with most of them is I blacken the whole system out, so it just looks like a standard car. You know, last detail under the bonnet of relevance to all this is you can see the air cleaner system. With all of them we try and, getting air in is an important feature. So this runs a large pod with a custom cowling over the top of it to make it flow good air, but also look neat and tidy. So okay, next thing that we've done with this car, I mean the obvious stuff on the outside is this is a GT. So it already had 4-spot front brakes with just the 2-spot rear. And of course the same thing applies for the XR8, which just has the 2-spot rear and front as well. This has got the full 6-spot and 4-spot upgrade. So we've gone to the large GBA slotted rotor on front and rear, better for your racetrack stuff and your hard work, and your 6-spot caliper. So there's a real, this has a real braking upgrade, taking it up to the GTP option with obviously a lot less expense, but giving it the brakes to counteract the sort of horsepower the car's got. The other feature you'll notice tucked away inside there, we've also gone around, as you might have noticed, sitting on the ground it sits a little lower. This has got full H&R springs with Bilstein shocks front and rear. They're an adjustable Bilstein shock on the front, which gives you variable height, and then we've done a rated Bilstein shock on the rear with a H&R spring to suit the package. This takes what's already pretty good suspension, but tacks it up, firms it up, makes them drive a little bit tighter on the road. They're not bone crunching, but they hold the corners nicer with a heavier spring rate. They just are a nicer car to drive harder. Okay, keep going up. The next feature on the car that's not obvious from the outside, but underneath you'll start to see what we've done. You've got your standard tips on the rear of the car. You come forward, then we've got a twin 3-inch exhaust system. A bit tight to go in there, but they do fit in there. So it's a full twin 3-inch mandrel bent stainless steel exhaust system, is all pretty obvious to look at. You come forward on the system, you see they are a nice swept bends, they really do fit into the car nicely. Up the front we've got custom made bullet cats with the 3-inch connector to go back to the exhaust system, and then we're running the 1.7/8 pacemaker header up the front. You can opt for the coated headers with the ceramic coating, either the chrome colour or the black, but being a Ford you can't really see your headers at all, so it's sort of an expense. It's a personal choice. In this case we opted to not go that way. So that's basically underneath the full exhaust system in there. You can go with clutch and diff upgrades and that sort of things if you really want to go that way, but really we find at this level, which is making the 500 rear wheel horsepower, everything else copes really well in this sort of package. we've gone for a couple of features on the inside, one being the short shifter, so it's got a billet short shifter, which just gives you a little bit tighter fit, a little less throw, gives you a bit more of a sporty feel in the gear stick, and a couple of gauges. So there's a boost gauge, to tell you what's happening with the supercharger, and just a volt gauge, something that is missing from your standard dash. You can obviously go to other options, fuel pressure gauges and that sort of stuff, but in the way of normal driver comfort and keeping an eye on all the engine's essentials, that gives you a full complement of gauges when you combine the two new ones combined with what the original dash already had. Okay, next we'll go through and we've got a dyno run to show you, and we'll also do a little bit of driving so you can see what this really gives you.